All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And as promised, we are joined by P.J. O'Rourke, columnist, humorist, author of The Baby Boom, How It Got That Way, and It Wasn't My Fault, and I'll Never Do It Again. Welcome, P.J.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, it's my pleasure. All right, first of all, explain the title of the book. Because it seems to go on and on and on when it could have easily have stopped. That's your...
Well, we couldn't figure out what to call the book,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm talking to my publisher, and I'm saying, you know, it just, and he had Googled, there was no book out there called The Baby Boom, but we needed a subtitle, and I said, what I'm trying to get across is how, you know, how it got that way, you know. And how it wasn't my fault, and I'm never going to do it again. I was just joking.
Right,
He said, stop, we've got the title.
All right, so the purpose of writing this, I mean, you're talking about the baby boomer generation,
Yeah.
obviously, and,
Yeah.
and the characteristics of it. It's hard to generalize, but people do. The greatest generation, the World War II generation of Americans who came together and on a dime got things done that we can't seem to build a fence, for instance, along the border for the last 20 years. They would have done it in about 5 hours. Anyway.
Or so they say.
Or so they say. But, so rate the baby boomer generation on, I don't know, a scale of 1 to 10.
I give it high marks. You know, I give it like 7.5. I give it a B plus, and the reason is that we live in just such a much nicer, more tolerant, decent world. And it's not because baby boomers are good. It's actually because they're so self-absorbed. You know, that being a Nazi or being a commie is just too much work for the baby boom. You know, and it's not enough about me. It's kind of like Adam Smith. You know, Adam Smith discovered we all work selfishly, and that turns out to benefit mankind. And the baby boom is like the emotional Adam Smith. You know, we all care about ourselves, think about ourselves. It's all about the self, and it turns out to benefit mankind.
Well, now that's interesting because we have a president right now who preaches that the American dream is a good job, a nice place to live, a car, and he's tried to redefine the American dream. And because to me, the American dream is and always has been, are you kidding? I want to become a billionaire. I want to do the best I can. I want to succeed to tremendous levels. I want to leave my kids a fortune. And yeah, I want to help people along the way. But you can only do that if you have enough for yourself. So what has happened with this president?
Yeah. With all due respect, the president is full of baloney. There is no American dream. The American dream is pursuit of happiness. There are 380 million American dreams, and it's none of the government's damn business which one we're having or when,
All right, but what I'm saying here is when we talk about the American dream that's instilled
it's go big or go home.
Yeah, that's instilled in children. That's instilled in as we grow up. You could be whatever you want. You could be a rich person. You could, and for some reason, why do you think that Obama's version is a nice house and just enough? It sounds like just enough. That's his American dream. Why?
That's all the government could possibly.
The government
provide.
or this president? The government or this president?
The government. I mean, if you want politics to solve all your problems are going to get solved in a really haphazard, low-level way. And so I'll give President Obama this. He's not promising much more. He's only promising a little more. But you can live in a nice FEMA trailer, and have a minimum wage job. Although the minimum Yugoslavia before it came to pieces, your government can do that.
No, I'm with you, and I didn't mean to imply that he was saying the government will provide that American dream. The American dream to me has always been what you hope for, what you strive for, initiative, American superiority, American exceptionalism, which this president denies.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to feel that we're very exceptional, which is why I think he should be drummed out of the baby.
We're talking to P.J. O'Rourke here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and he's got a new one out, The Baby Boom, How It Got That Way. So compare, for instance, when you see, I know you have kids, I have a 14-year-old son, you have, along those lines, several of them, God bless you.
Got 3,
I thought I started late, but...
no, I started at 50.
I started at 40, and I only have the one, but he's my life. So tell me what you think of this current generation that you're raising and I'm raising.
I think they're great. I really do. I mean, I watch their attitudes about people being different religions, different races, different ethnicities, different sexual orientations. They don't even seem to notice things like this. They really seem to be They seem to be a very smart and easygoing and a generation with a pretty good sense of humor. You know, when you can get them, you know, get their face out of the iPhone.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they are growing up. I tell my
I mean,
son,
I say this, but I haven't actually talked to my 16-year-old daughter in about 5 months because her face is in the iPhone.
well, that's the scary part. Not only the detachment and the way that they're obsessed with this and communicate now, but also the fear that I have, because he's very politically oriented. I don't know where he gets it from. And he says things, and I say, I say, Rob, don't ever write that. Don't tweet it. Don't say it in school. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but just don't do it, because somebody will twist it and you'll get in trouble. And that's a terrible way to live.
Yeah, well, we do live in that atmosphere of political correctness. I mean, you know, we've got like, you know, you got these LBGT clubs, you know, in like at an age where they shouldn't be having anything. You know, I mean, so, you
well,
know,
you mean you don't agree with transgender bathrooms in kindergarten in California?
You know, like I just like I am so libertarian on these issues. I don't think it's anybody. It's like it's sort of like I feel like the institutions out there are saying to kids, there's something wrong with you if you don't have a problem. You know, if you're not addicted, why aren't you addicted to drugs? You know, and we've got some ADD drug right here we can get you addicted. And it's I don't like that, sending that message. You know, because especially to a group of kids that, as far as I can see, are just, you know,
they have no clue.
Are much cooler about these things than I was.
Oh, yeah, but at 5 or 6 years old, they don't even know what anybody's talking about.
What's going on with that stuff?
You talk about a desensitization. All right, you're a libertarian, and for better or for worse, and you even before you said drugs, for better or for worse, when I hear the word libertarian, right away I say, so your primary goal and your primary belief is that the war on drugs is a failure. The war on drugs should be over, and we should legalize all the illegal drugs. Do you buy into that?
I do not, as a matter of fact, because there are obviously drugs can do enormous harm to society, and every society controls socially, politically, legally the intoxicants in that society. But I mean, there are parts of the drug war that we just lost, and we need to surrender. I mean, I'm sorry, it's over with marijuana. You know, I don't think it's great for you. I certainly hope the kids don't do it. But on the other hand, I got a 16-year-old daughter. Here's a drug that makes teenage boys drive slow.
No, come on.
I am much more worried about those boys with beer.
No. But either way,
I've been there.
But either way, what do you mean it makes them drive slow? And that's a hazard. Their reaction time is also delayed. The braking time is slower.
No, it's not good.
That's the point. None of it is good.
It's not good, but it's not beer.
But why put another mind-altering drug out there and making it legal and insinuating to your kids that when they become of age, they could now have another mind-altering drug? And by the way, it's also a gateway to the next level of drug, or the next level of drug. Why even go down that path? Why?
It's because the genie's out of the bottle.
In what way? In what way?
It's everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere, and there's no getting rid of it. Now that we've got a couple states legalizing it, it's truly hopeless. You know.
All right, let me.
I mean, you know, you gotta pick your fights here. You know, and I personally would pick prescription drugs, or I would pick.
What do you mean pick? What do you mean pick?
You got to pick your fights.
Yeah,
but you only have so many resources. You got to.
Oh, you mean to go after prescription drug abuse?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to try and eliminate a drug from America, and, you know, we have cut down like cocaine consumption very considerably. You know, maybe the opiates are a possible target. You know, maybe we can get rid of the meth labs. Yeah, marijuana. You know, it's too late. Too late now.
Okay, I'm just getting word breaking on CNN is that the jobless benefits bill has failed in the Senate. The proposal couldn't clear a pair of procedural votes to get 60 votes. How do you feel about this class warfare that our aforementioned president is undertaking? That you know what's funny is when 5 or 6 million people lost their health insurance after being lied to. You're right. He said, that's 5% of the people. That's no bad. This is 1 million people, and you would think the sky's falling.
Yeah. You know, he's a Democrat. What can I basically tell you here? But the problem is with all government benefit, it's not so much whether we're doing too much or whether we're doing too little. It's where and how we're doing it. You know, there's a very basic principle of Catholicism called subsidiary, and the idea is that all action should be taken at the closest level to the community, at the lowest possible level. charity, assistance to people in need should be done locally, not by a giant federal government that's a million miles away. You can't design a program that like works in the inner city. That program may be totally destructive in Appalachia and vice versa. You know? These things should be, charity should be returned to we, the charitable people, as close as it possibly can. I'm not saying there's no role for government, but the farther that government is away from the individual that we're trying to help, the less help that government's going to be.
One more question for you. How old would this current generation of our kids have to be before you would undertake a book on their generation?
I'm afraid it would be a very senile book. You know? This one may be, for all I know.
P.J. O'Rourke, columnist, humorist, author of The Baby Boom, How It Got That Way, and It Wasn't My Fault, and I'll Never Do It Again, joined me, and a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Great luck with the book, and nice to talk to you. All right, folks, when we come back, Michael Goodwin of the New York Post will join us. At the top of the next hour, Joseph Connor, who lost his father to the FALN at Franz's Tavern, has written a piece, Melissa Mark Viverito and My Dad's Killers. She's the new president of the New York City Council. We'll also speak to Pat Buchanan and Paul Molshine of the Star-Ledger. All that, if you could take it, straight ahead on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.